All right. So, welcome. My name is Kathleen Morgan, and I'm excited to be here with you today for this is kind of a rerun program of the library's digital resources. We did this probably over a year ago, I think. And in my world, all this stuff, it's kind of nice to have two passes at it because, sometimes you catch everything and sometimes you don't. And it's always nice to have a refresher. So whether this is the first time you've done it or just a second time, just to kind of sharpen your skills, we're excited to have you here and hope that you gain some good information from it. So a few housekeeping things before I introduce Andrew. On your Zoom screen, there's a little chat button that looks like a speech bubble. If you think the way we're going to do it is Andrew's going to go through each of our different digital services, and then we'll open it up for questions. So if you have a question on that particular item, put it in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand, we can call on you. But if you could keep yourself muted during the program, just so that if your dog barks or your telephone rings or something like that, it doesn't disturb the conversation. So, and let's see, up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little button that says view, and you can choose whether you want to watch this. Actually, Andrew will be sharing a screen, so it probably doesn't matter. The speaker view makes the person talking bigger, and then everybody else is in little boxes along the side. And the gallery view is kind of this Hollywood Squares Brady Bunch layout that at least I'm seeing right now. So you can choose what you want, but eventually it all kind of defers to when somebody shares their screen, defers to that speaker view. So we'll get going here. I'm so excited that Andrew Magleby is here. And he is one of our tech people at our public tech desk at the second floor of the library. And I will also add that he is one of the most delightful, positive, and wonderful people that I know here at the library. Andrew, I swear to God, never has a bad day. So I will do a great job, I'm sure, answering your questions and letting you know about all the great tech services that we have here at Lawrence Public Library. So with that, I will pass it off to Andrew and we can get started.
Well, thank you, Kathleen. I have to say the same about you. I've never seen a bad day on your end, so
Oh,
appreciate it.
try me. No.
Guys, I'm excited to be here. My name is Andrew Magleby, and I'm a public tech assistant. And the difference between public tech is that we help you with any problems you guys have. And so I don't know if many of you have used our resources down in the downstairs of the library, but we have the computer lab down there and a sound and recording studio, and then just a bunch, like an incredible team of tech assistants that can help with any kind of problem you guys have. Now, we can't always solve everything, but we can try is kind of the goal we have at the library. So we have all sorts of people coming in with phone issues and are trying to change settings on computers or trying to do stuff. We can usually do those pretty well. Sometimes if something's broken, we don't have the hardware capability of fixing stuff, but any kind of software related stuff, we either have the skills to look it up or know how to do it. And it's a really cool team we have at the library. So I'm very grateful to have that chance to share it with you. And if you guys ever have anything, please come down to the library. We can kind of look at it together and figure out what we're doing, especially with what we're going to talk about today with the digital library. And another resource, I guess, along with our tech department, another resource we have is called a tech one-on-one appointment. And so sometimes, as I'm sure everyone's aware with, technology just isn't working proper, and it takes a bunch of time trying to figure out what's going on. And so I want to show you our library website. So I'm going to go start sharing my screen. And so here is the library website, and you'll notice the website, if you're ever searching for it, if you just search Lawrence Public Library, it's going to be the first link up there. So if you don't remember the website, if you type in Lawrence Public Library, it's going to be this website at the top. And you can also check by like the address and things like that. You click on the link, and that takes you to the library's website. And we have so many features on this website. We're going to go into one page of this website basically. But before we get started, I want to show you a second little page about the tech one-on-one appointments. If you're struggling with something that you want to figure out on your phone or computer and it's going to take a while, we have this option in the resources. If you click on this resources bar, it opens up all these different menus, and there's this section called Tech Help. And so you click resources, scroll down till you find Tech Help in this column. Can everyone see my mouse? It's probably a little hard to see, but yeah, I'm going to try and like circle it a bunch whenever we're doing something. So click on the Tech Help, and this is a little example of scheduling up tech one-on-one appointments. So if there's something you want to learn more about the class that we're teaching right now, or if you just have any kind of problem technology related, feel free to schedule an appointment and we'll do our best to help work with you and figure it out. And so the next part would be this kind of just gives you a little detail information about what the tech one-on-one help is. And if you go to schedule an appointment, you can see which days are available for scheduling an appointment. So if I click on the 15th, there's a slot at 1:30 p.m. I could go, it'll ask you for more information once you select that, but it's a pretty cool resource that the library has that I want to make you all aware of before we get started today in case there's any questions. So I'm going to go back to the library's main website. And I guess, is there any question? I'll start with that. Is there any questions with that part of the training so far? Let me see if I can get the chat pulled up.
Yeah, let me see.
All right, so we'll move right along. So as Kathleen said, we're going to go to the digital library. And so as we start on this main library website, you can see there's just so much information on here and all of it's awesome. There's so much good stuff to explore, but it can be a little overwhelming at the same time. So we're going to go to the browse and borrow section. And so this browse and borrow section shows like our collection and also our digital collection. And so you can see there's like the catalog, you can see all the books we have in the library. We're going to go to digital library. There's also other sections. So we're going to start with digital library right here. And this is the page we're pretty much going to spend the next hour on. And so as this like disclaimer kind of states, you will need a library card for most of these resources. So if you don't have a library card, they're very easy to get. We have an awesome account staff. And so if you just go to the accounts desk, they should be able to help you with, even if you don't have all the necessary like requisite information, they can get you a temporary library card, which can help you in a lot of this stuff as well. But it's very easy to get a full library card. And so you can click on the links if you're having any trouble with this. The second, so that's the Lawrence Public Library card. Our accounts desk also helps with the State Library card of Kansas. And that's a card that I didn't really know about until starting to prep for this training, but it's a cool library card. We'll get to all the information that card gets you. It's going to be down here at the bottom of this page, but it's a resource that everyone has option to get by going to the library card. If you already have a Lawrence Public Library card, they're very easy to get. You just go to the accounts desk and they can basically make one for you. So if you don't have one, it's not really like they call it a library card, but they call it an e-card because it's really just an account for the State Library of Kansas account. So we're going to start off with one of our greatest resources we have on our digital library, which is Libby. And so I don't know how many of you are familiar with Overdrive versus Libby, but I wanted to kind of start off by making a distinction between the two. Overdrive is a company, and Overdrive used to be a resource that the library used to do a lot of our digital media. But as they've grown and like the market has gone like exploded, especially during like COVID and stuff, they've gone to making a different resource of Libby to be the official app of all the stuff that they're doing. And so sometimes we talk about the company is Overdrive and the app is Libby. They're really the same thing, but there are important distinctions with that because some people used to use Overdrive as a resource to getting materials, but now we use Libby to get the materials. So I want to show you the old Overdrive real quick, and then I don't want to focus too much on it because you actually can't use it very much anymore. They're kind of forcing you into Libby. And so if you click on the link from our website, this Libby Overdrive, it takes you to a page that looks almost exactly like our library website. Now, it's actually not our website. If you look at the website, if you can see at the top, there is this website, and it's an overdrive.com page. And so Overdrive created a website that kind of matches our website, and it shows you just all these cool digital books that you can get through Libby. And if you already have an Overdrive account, you can still use Overdrive, but they do not create new accounts anymore because they're trying to force everyone to be Libby. So I just wanted to show that distinction, that there was this old Overdrive account, but now we're going to Libby. And I'm going to show you what Libby looks like. So if we go back to our main page, you see that we promote Libby because that's what Overdrive wants us to, and it's where most of the materials are. So I'm going to go and show you what the Libby app looks like. So if I just type in Libby app into the website, into Google's search browser, it'll take me to the Libby app. And I don't know how many of you have used Libby, but it's a pretty easy app to use, even if it does break every once in a while. I know I've helped a lot of people like trying to figure out, and I'll go over some troubleshooting options with Libby, but it's pretty straightforward. So the first thing we're going to have right here is telling us, thanks, do you have a library card? I say yes. And then you guys say, where is my library? It's trying to, you can look from other information, you can search for your library, or you can say, guess my library. And it's going to guess, like, oh, you're located near Lawrence, Kansas, so the Lawrence Public Library is your library. And how hard is this to see? Is it legible for you guys?
It's a little small.
Okay, let's see if I can get this.
Because it's, yeah, that's way better.
That's better.
Dark
so,
on dark background.
Yeah. So this is what the website will ask. So I'll say, this is my library. And look, I'm on the Libby Lawrence Public Library page now. And so I'm going to minimize that. So now you have the option of signing in with your library card. And this is how you can't do anything without the library card. That's what we mentioned in the beginning. So I'm going to say sign in with my library card. So I'm going to put my library card and number in there. And then I'm going to put my PIN. Now, PIN is kind of important for a lot of these things. If you don't have your PIN number, you can go reset it at the accounts desk, or I think you do have to be in person to do that for the accounts desk, because they don't want people trying to, do fraud or anything with your, but if you're ever at the library and don't know your PIN, you can go to the accounts desk and reset that with them. And so now that I've gotten to this application, you can see my library cards on here, and you can see I have 10 or 0 out of 10 holds. So every month you get 10 holds from this Libby app. And this is just kind of what they're promoting from our website, of things that the Lawrence Public Library has collections to, they kind of promote. But sometimes you want to find something specific. So I'm going to go to the search feature, and you'll see, like, this is what your phone's going to look like. If you look at the bottom of the screen, there's like an eyeglass that's like a search. This like middle section kind of shows you your library details. This kind of shows you the home page of like what your library looks like, what like they're kind of promoting. And this books down here, those look like what you've checked out. You can see this is my shelf, they call it. And I have 0 loans, 0 holds, 0 tags. And then over here, it's just kind of like account activity of like, so it shows you things that you've checked out in the past or not.
So Andrew, there's a question from John in the chat that says, this Libby is different from the Libby on my phone, right? But it's actually the same, right?
It should be the same. So that's a great question. Let me show you. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and show you the Libby app on my phone. Because yeah, this is pretty much the same thing. But what phone do you have, I guess, is my follow-up question.
Yeah, John, do you want to unmute and answer that? There you go.
iPhone 14.
iPhone 14, yeah, so it should be very similar. So I'm gonna go share my screen, and I'm gonna share with my phone. Okay, so now I'm gonna go. It's gonna take a second to show, but this is my phone right here. And so you'll see this kind of has these I can't show you my finger as much anymore, but the bottom of my phone that's being shared, it has those exact same 5 tabs right there.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Yes.
And so the far left is the circle, and this is the search. And so you can see things that you've searched, things that you want to find. The book or the building that looks like a kind of like a Greek building to me is like the library. So it's showing what the library is promoting. The middle section's like your account information. The books is called your shelf, and this is things that you've borrowed or things that you're interested in borrowing. Like if you put a hold on it, you could see the holds here. You could see the loans of what you currently have, and then tags for things that the library thinks you're interested in. And then the fifth section is the activity. So that's the main meat and potatoes of Libby. Now, look, let's go through some searches of books. And so I'm going to search, my favorite book is called Lord of the Rings. So I'm going to search for Lord of the Rings. And when you see the results, it gives you all these different results that are on the Libby app. And you'll see, I guess I can show you, can you guys see my mouse when I have it pulled up still? Okay, cool. So with this section, I can look at the books, and you'll see at the very top, it says 8 audiobooks and 7 books. And so I can refine my results by going and finding is like, okay, I only want audiobooks. Libby is a great, like, I like reading physical books. I don't necessarily like reading digital books, so I'm going to do an audiobook. So you can change the format up here, and you can see that there's like a digital ebook or audiobook. So I'm going to click on audiobooks, and now it's just giving me examples of audiobooks that I can rent or place a hold on or borrow. And you'll see that there's a icon of like those look like little AirPods from Apple, or just like a little earpieces, and it has 23 hours. And so that's showing you that it is definitely an audiobook that you listen to, you'll hear it for 23 hours. And so if I go here, I guess I can't play you the sample for it, but it's, you can go ahead and click the play sample, and you probably won't be able to hear it. Let me see if I can get this to work.
Yeah, you may need to unshare and hit that little checkbox that says play audio.
Yeah, so let's go stop share. We can go back to the website version of it. Okay. And so I'm going to go back here. Okay, share screen. And Lord of the Rings. And so then I'm going to do my preferences. I'm going to change my format again to audiobooks. And I'm going to play a sample of this book.
I think we're hearing it.
Can you guys hear that? Oh, okay. Sorry, I could hear it. But basically, it just gives you, it's a nice little feature to play a sample to see if you like the narrator. It's I don't know if you've ever tried to check out a book and you didn't quite like the narrator of the book. And my wife, it's not as big a deal to me, but my wife, it's a really big deal that she's like, I can't stand the way they say this word. And so you'll notice in this search, which is cool, that they have multiple versions of the Fellowship. They have 3 versions of the Fellowship of the Ring. So you have 3 different options to hear this book. Now these ones look like series a little bit, but there's still other options of listening to this book that then now not every book's going to have that. Lord of the Rings, obviously a very popular book, but it's a cool thing that you can, if you don't know if you want that book, you can play the sample of it if you're listening to an audiobook and hear if you like the narrator. So
I've
then
got a couple of questions.
Oh yeah,
before
please.
You go on. Is the Libby pin the same as the LPL pin, or do we need to choose a special
Great
pin?
question. It should be the same as the LPL pin, but that is not always the case, because you may have created an Overdrive account a couple years ago and updated your pin since then, and then there's going to be a mismatch between those. And so if it's the same pin is not working, you probably just have to go to the accounts desk and get that worked out.
Okay.
And that's going to be the same for like most of these, that if the pin isn't working, go to the accounts desk, reset the PIN, and it should work.
Okay.
But that, yeah, if you have an older account that's started with Overdrive, there could be a mismatch, because I believe our library used to have 8-digit pins and now we have 4-digit pins. And so there's just 8-digit pins still should work if there wasn't an error, but there sometimes can be a little bit of trouble with those from people that I've helped.
Okay.
All right, and then what's the difference between the library app versus the Libby app? So when you say library app, are you referring to that page that we pulled up? Like this page, kind of?
Cindy, do you want to unmute wherever you are?
Okay, so
yes.
Yeah, there not much like, because like most of our digital resources are there, but every once in a while you'll see something on Overdrive if you have an Overdrive account that might not be on Libby, but overall it should be pretty much the same. But there is a chance that you'll see something on there, like if we search Lord of the Rings on this page, we're getting the exact same, no, not exactly the same rules. There's a few extra differences, because this might have so I don't know if you guys are familiar with like websites, but they tag things. So like this is tagged as Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien, but this might have Lord of the Rings within the book, the Stranger book, and so this has, it's like, oh, it has more information, so that pulled Lord of the Rings in here when the other Libby search didn't pull this book out with it. And it just kind of comes down to how much information we know about the book on searches. And so you might see different results, but it really should be the same thing. This one just has like maybe more words that like relate to the Lord of the Rings and gives you more options. But if you're searching Lord of the Rings, you're not really wanting this. So I think Libby is still the superior good choice for it, but it could pull up more options on maybe the library's page or Overdrive page or certain other things. But when we're trying to do digital, and so if you go to the and as I'm thinking about your question more too, if we go to the library's website, we're going to have a lot more options than Libby, because we'll have the physical collection as well. So we search Lord of the Rings, you'll see these different versions. So you can see like video games get added to it, and music, and all these different books about Lord of the Rings, and lots of different versions of movies. So it is different because the library's website is going to show everything that we pretty much have access to, while Libby just shows the stuff that Libby has access to, which is not the physical collection. Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay, great. So we're going to go back into Libby. We went.
And if you wanted to choose ebooks versus audiobooks, how do you access that?
Great question. So that goes back to that formatting.
Okay.
So if we go to the Libby search results, so if we can choose audiobooks as the preference that we selected, but you can choose any, which would show everything.
Gotcha. You
can choose books, which is going to be ebooks, like because it's like on our website we specify ebooks. On Libby they don't specify ebooks because they all are 100% ebooks. That might be a little confusing, but yeah, Libby, because it's going to be on your phone or your computer or your tablet, it's just like, oh, the book version is the ebook because it has to be. So that's where you would go, is you'd go to the format and then change it to whatever format you're looking for. And that kind of goes over the search functionality of it. So I'm gonna go talk about placing a hold. So this is something that I'm sure a lot of you have done with the library, but it still works in Libby as well. And so Libby, to my understanding of how Libby works, is like we are buying like digital like domains of these. And so we have a certain amount of these books for a specific period of time. And so it's basically, we're treating them just like they're real books in our library. And so what happens if like Michelle Obama's book we buy 15 of those and they're all checked out for a while, and you want to get on the list for when one comes available, you place a hold of it on the library. And the same thing happens here at Libby, is that we have these digital rights to these books that they're allowed. We have a certain amount of copies for them, and if none are available, we get the option to place a hold. So I'm going to go ahead and place a hold on Fellowship of the Ring. And you see that's like got my library card number there. I haven't placed any holds yet. And so I'm going to go ahead and place. It says this is a nice feature. It's also depressing sometimes, is if you look down the bottom, it says about a 7-week wait, and it's true. Like, I'd rather be truthful than not. So I'm glad it tells you how long that it's going to take to get the book. But a lot of times it's usually not that long, but sometimes it can be, depending on how popular the book is. And so I'm going to go ahead and place a hold. And now I'm going to go to keep browsing. And now we'll go down to my shelf. So I'm going to go down to the 3-pile book near the bottom. And you'll see, if I go to my holds tab, you'll see that this is here in my holds spot. So with the holds, you can go to manage holds. Like, so say it's like, oh, I actually own Lord of the Rings at home, or I got it from a friend. So I found it at the library, a physical copy that I wanted to use. You can go to manage hold, and then you can go and suspend hold, which that just like puts it on like temporary hiatus, I guess, and then you can cancel the hold. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and cancel the hold so that it doesn't count against me, I guess. Oh yeah, so I'm going to cancel the hold. And then I should update my account that I have 0 out of my holds right here again. So you can see that in this format, that I'm not using one of my 10 holds anymore if I didn't end up wanting it. So those are kind of like the main features of Libby, is that you get to do the search. You get to choose the format you want to do the search by clicking preferences up here. And there's lots of different options. We were focusing mostly on the format of audiobooks or ebooks or other type of media, but there's languages, audience. I guess if you wanted to like filter, if you were trying to search something you didn't know the exact book for, this is really useful, right? So it's like, oh, I want to find something like general content or young or juvenile, depending on what you're trying to find. And especially for like audiobooks, and you're like with a young kid, it might be nice to find like a juvenile audiobook that might be good for you, or general content, or something safe for everybody. So these are nice filters for that. Supports. This is important because Kindle is a really cool device that is really hard to work with sometimes. And so I'm just going to specify this real quick, that Libby mostly works with Kindle now. At first, they did not, because they're kind of a competitor to libraries. Amazon wants you to buy every ebook out there, and they sell a product that's incredibly powerful but cheap on purpose, so that you kind of have to keep buying their stuff. And so they lose money on every Kindle that they sell. And so they do that hoping to recoup the cost by selling you media and books and stuff. And so they were kind of fighting against Libby for a while. It seems like they've worked out some arrangement, because the new Kindles can get Libby from the App Store. Old ones cannot. And that's something you'll just have to come in, and if you're struggling with that and you have an old Kindle you want to try and read on, you can come to the library. We can try our best. If you have an existing Overdrive account, we can usually get it to work. If not, we'll try our best and see what we can do, but sometimes you can't get those two to work.
And then Shelley has a question: are the 10 holds per period of time, or all at one time?
Oh, you know what? That is a great question. So the checkouts is for sure over the month. Mm-hmm. I kind of assume that the holds would have to be over the period, or the whole of the whole experience, because those aren't updating. Like, if you have to wait 6 weeks for a book, that's more than a month. Right. So I assume the 10 is just for the 10, and that so that could reset between the month, just like the checkouts do. But I might have to get back to you on that. So I'm going to make a note of that real quick.
Yeah, I can kind of do a little searching while you can keep going.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, Kathleen. But yeah, like basically how it's supposed to work is that you get 10 a month, and then it refreshes at the month. But the holds would be a little different than that if you had a really long wait for it. So great question. But yeah, other media types. So like if you like reading out of PDFs, you can find books that are only in PDF form. You can find them only in Libby, EPUB, MediaDo. I don't actually know what those two forms are, but if you had some kind of reader that did better with those, you could search for which options work for those. And that's pretty much covers Libby. Of like the general basics. Like we're happy to go into more details if anyone has any more specific questions, but you really want to search the format you're looking for between like ebooks or audiobooks. If you're trying to search for something new, you can check out the audience to see if it's family friendly or not, or anything like that. And then availability is also another search where it's available now or just everything. So available now means you don't have to place a hold on it. It means you can check it out right this second.
It says 10 checkouts at a time. So,
so yeah, I guess it does. So I bet some of them refresh after, but yeah.
Right. So 10 checkouts at a time, 2 to 3 weeks per checkout.
Okay. Does it work on the Kindle app or iPad? So it definitely works on the iPad. And if the Kindle store, because Kindle has its own store, it's like the Amazon store. If it's a newer version of the Kindle, that you can find it in the app store of the Kindle. But if it's an older version, you have to go through an Overdrive like website kind of thing that we can probably make it work, but it's going to be a lot harder. But yeah, for any iPad, it should work. And most tablets, it should work. Just Kindle specifically are kind of a little trickier.
Okay, we're up to we got about 25 minutes left. So.
Okay, so this is I think one of their best resources. So I did want to spend the most time on this, but yeah, if there's more questions, feel free to talk to us at one of our tech one-on-one appointments, or just come stop by the desk and we can answer some basic questions for you. So we are going to go back to the library's website. We're going to go to our digital items. The next one I'm really excited to talk about is LinkedIn Learning. I don't know if many of you have used LinkedIn Learning, but it is an awesome resource. And so with this, all I did was click on the tab for LinkedIn Learning. You'll need your library card number and then also your PIN number. And so it says, because we're clicking through the library's website, you can't just search LinkedIn Learning. You have to come through the library's website. And that's important for a lot of these, because if you just search LinkedIn Learning, it's going to try and make you pay for a subscription, but the library already pays for your subscription, or like a portion, like to get it available to you. And so you have to go through the library's website in order to use this resource. But then you click on LinkedIn Learning and say, get started. And it asks for your library card and PIN number. So I can put in my library card number and I'm going to put my PIN number in. And then it takes you to this awesome service that gives you training courses on so many different resources. So I'm gonna click, like there's so much to go over here, but basically I'm going to click this browse thing at the top to kind of show you the different ideas of the classes that you can take here. And these aren't like college classes where it's, like a semester long. Generally, they're a couple hours long, but it's a bunch of very well-made videos all about a specific topic taught by an expert in them with just high production value. So for instance, we can show.
Can you bump up the size of the screen a little bit?
Oh yeah, so let's see what we can do. It's actually, this website doesn't let you.
Oh,
okay, there we go.
That's a lot better. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna, so it defaults into business. If you can see over here in the business section, this is just lots of things that relate to. It's like, hey, do you want to do better at your job? Here are some options for different things like marketing manager, marketing specialist, recruiter. So lots of stuff to help you career-wise. Very cool thing. I like the creative section. You go to the creative section and you get, like, one thing that I'm always interested in is photography, right? So it's like, I want to be like, I've always wanted to do more photography. So I can click on photography. There's a whole section on photography and you can see there's image editing. So if you want to use like software that makes your photos look better, asset management, you can find the categories for these things, or you can click just general. And so I clicked on the general photography and you can see, hey, the first course is an 18-hour becoming a photographer. And so it's from April 2019. You can see the date that it was created. And a lot of these courses, they may be created from years ago, but they get updated quite a bit too, especially if they're getting promoted by LinkedIn. And it is so cool. You can see that I actually started this introduction to photography class. And I think this is a really cool feature about LinkedIn is that I started this class, and you can see it takes me to where I left off in it. You can see that there's like this partially done. I've like done about halfway through this course, and I still have like an hour left. This is a very basic intro to photography class, but it was super fun and interesting to learn. And so I'm going to click into this to kind of show you a little bit. We're not going to play the videos of it, but I just want to show you the format of it. And so you'll see that there's like a big video right here, kind of like YouTube pops up. But unlike YouTube, it's got this really nice, on the left side, it's got this whole table of contents of what you're learning about. And so far, you can see that I've gone to section 4 of this class. I went to composition basics. You got to check mark. Those are the ones I've done. And then the one that I haven't finished is right here. And you can see that it left off at the beginning of it. But I really appreciate this table of contents and remembering where you are, as opposed to YouTube, where there's so much important good stuff on YouTube, but it's really hard to find a good course in it. You could get a 14-year-old teaching you about something, or that it doesn't really know what they're talking about, or you could get an expert with a really bad production quality video. Now with LinkedIn Learning, you get high quality, and it's not the most advanced courses for all these, but this is particularly a beginner one. You saw that some of them are pretty advanced. And so you can go through and just find something. So if we wanted to look up something, like, look, chess is an option right here. So you could learn like game theory from a chess champion. And I wanted to specify a little bit that this is, some of these are just videos that you search, but this, you can see that it's titled as a course. And that means like there's a lot of videos related to it versus a video, which is, this is just one video about chess. And so that's an important distinction to look for when you're searching things in LinkedIn Learning, that you have a course, which is multiple videos, which will have that table of contents like we were showing over here, versus just one video that might relate to the subject that you searched. And you can see that it kind of pops up with just that small thing. And then you can see the full course if you want to go into that. But yeah, this is a really powerful resource. There's so much to it that just go and search and try it out. You just need to your life. So to recap, you want to go through the library's website. So right here, you go click in LinkedIn Learning to make sure that the library it's part of the library's account. Then you get started and you put in your information and go wild. It is awesome. So next thing we're going to talk about is Canopy. This is something I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. It's an awesome streaming service that we have. And so I'm just going to click on that to show you what it's like. There's Canopy apps on most of your devices. Like if you have Apple TV or Roku or certain things, there is a lot. Most devices have a version of Canopy on there that you can download as an app for your TV or smart TVs. Memory card.
Doesn't like you.
Yeah, it doesn't like me right now. Well, I can't. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but with how much stuff we have to go through. But Canopy is a really cool resource. Let me see if I can do it one more try.
Yeah, those of you who do Dessert in a Movie are probably familiar with it. But there are so many good documentaries and movies on this service that and especially old movies, it's really handy for that. So there we go. See if that works.
Okay, well, it's not working for me. Let me try one more try. Oops. Okay, there we go.
There you go.
So you have to do account creation instead of the library card link for that one.
Yeah, because I have to put in my email and a password.
Yeah, so I guess because I'd already done it, didn't prompt me to do it, but so
Okay.
that there is an account creation that if you go to like canopy.com, you might have to say create an account, and then you'll have to add your library card from there. But what incredible movies. Lars and the Real Girl, one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a lot more like indie, like house movies, I'd say, more than just like the mainstream, especially like Disney, Marvel, that kind of stuff. But incredible collection here.
Yeah.
So you can just go ahead and browse. Like that's what I look. I like to, you can make a list of movies that you want to watch. So I started watching Modern Times a little while ago. But very cool resource, similar to Netflix, but a lot of cool stuff. Sorry.
No, I was going to say just a tip. And they've started to kind of add the trailers to these movies, but sometimes if there's not a trailer associated with it and you just click on it, the movie starts and then it counts as one of your 10 for the month. So it's always better to maybe go off on Google and search for the trailer and watch it not on Canopy, because you only get 10 movies a month. And sometimes if you get it started, then it counts as one of your movies. I learned that the hard way.
I that is a great tip. So yeah, like
Yeah.
if you click on something, don't click like as Kathleen said, the trailers are an option, but yes, go
if
to
it's on there,
always
it's
see more
fine.
details versus click play. So great
exactly.
tip. Okay, cool. So any questions on Canopy?
Yeah, Audrey has a question. My smart TV is in another room. How do I get the program to show up there? I think you need to find the app.
Yeah, so if it's not on the smart TV app, sometimes you have options to share. Like, so how I shared screen of my phone to this meeting, you have this option to do that sometimes if there is no app available, which there should be, but if there's not, like smart TVs are kind of an odd thing because they don't update. Like if you have like an Apple TV or a Roku, those update constantly. But if it's just a pure smart TV, those do not actually update very often. And sometimes they don't get the newest apps or the newest versions of apps. And so you'd have to do a screen share like from your phone or a computer, or you can plug an HDMI cable from your computer to the TV. There are a lot of options for that. But yeah, if you're not seeing the app, we'll have to do a workaround, and I'd love to talk to you about it more.
And then Paula is saying, can I get Canopy on Roku?
You should be able to. Yeah.
And then Angie is asking, did you say it works with the Fire Stick?
I haven't heard that it works on a Fire Stick, but I would kind of be sure. So that's something we can maybe look up after, and we'll give you more information on. But Roku and Fire Stick, let me take notes of that. Okay, so that's Canopy in a nutshell. We're going to go back. So I want to rush through some of these if we have some more time. Now I've heard Freeding is a website that we have that we've been promoting a little bit. It's got some interesting stuff on it. It's a pretty bad looking website in my opinion, and a little bad to navigate. But I'm going to click on it and show you what I mean. So it's just kind of blah, if there's not much there to like catch your eye of like what are the best things on here. It does give you like some options of like some important books there that are cool, but it doesn't have the biggest collection of stuff. Now, as I was looking through it, something that caught my eye that I thought was kind of cool is like Spark Notes. This is just an example of some of the Spark Notes. Now, I used Spark Notes a lot in high school because I was really bad about picking up themes or on certain things. And so it's a cool feature that I thought, I was like, oh, that's cool that they have this. There's also a Disney graphic novels. So if you have kids or you're trying to, keep a kid's attention or something, Disney is as popular as you get, and you can get a bunch of these different graphic novels for your kid to put them on an iPad or kind of keep them entertained for something if they were looking for something to do. So there's definitely good stuff on here, but it's not the best looking website. So I'm going to stop my screen share real quick and show you what the website looks like. So now I'm going to screen share my phone, and then I'm going to go.
Yeah, I actually just used Freeding for my book club book because it was out of print and they actually had it.
Yeah, that was my last point I was going to make, is that it is, check it out, see what they have. Like
I was shocked.
It's definitely worth looking. So
Yeah.
when I pull up Freeding, this is what it defaults to when you open it up from nothing, you know? And so these are the books that I checked out. It's like, oh, I checked out the Spark Notes for these 2 books, but it just looks pretty bad, you know? And it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to navigate because I'm like, okay, how do I search books? If you click there, it just searches the collection. So you have to go down to get books in the very bottom corner if you want to add more books to your collection. And then it takes you to this like splash page that lets you search books. So it's totally works. There's a lot of good to it. It just isn't the most intuitive of apps. So I just wanted to point that out for you.
It's kind of clunky, but
Yeah.
but it's
So
better than having a paper book, right?
absolutely. Okay.
So
So then we're going to go back to screen share. Let's go back to our main page. So we've gotten through Freeding. So then the Washington Post. This one is an awesome service we provide through the library, but you have to basically have logged in through the library. So I'm going to put in my information. And it lets me log into Washington Post and read all the articles, which is totally awesome. You have to have your library information for it, but it works. It's great. Now, it doesn't work with the apps on your phone, though. I've noticed that you have to do it through the library's website, kind of like we were saying with that with LinkedIn Learning. You have to go through the library's website, log in through the library, and then you can read as much as you want of the Washington Post. But if you have the app on your phone, that's a whole separate thing it won't work for. New York Times, on the other hand, and so yeah, if any questions about, I'm kind of going fast, but any questions about the Washington
actually,
Post?
the next question is, what about New York Times access? So
New York Times
you
is a
are
little
reading
different.
everybody's mind.
Yep. So New York Times, you have this option, and it gives you, when you click on the page, which is really helpful on our end, you click on New York Times, and it gives you a splash page of like, okay, this is the rules for the New York Times. You can get your app to work, but you have a 72-hour limited access to it. And so what I'm going to do is do that with you. So I'm going to log into the New York Times. Oh, this is already logged in because when I was testing it earlier. So I'm going to see it. I'm logged into my library email address right here, but I'm going to do it incognito. We're going to go to digital library, New York Times. And so if I'm going to just log in, it gives you this code for 72 hours. And this code works with the app. So that like this will let you get into it. And so if you're doing it through the library, it'll eventually open up through your app if you're doing it like on your phone. But if you want to do it on a computer, you just click redeem. And then it's going to ask you for your email address. And so I'm going to do my home or my main email address. Email address, you did not work. Well,
Not cooperating.
Okay, try that one. I guess that worked. And so now it says my code is activated and it begins. And so now I have 72 hours at home to do this. Now the caveat is that we did this through the library's website. And so this gives you like all these options, like see like what you like specifically, but I'm like, no, I just want to go to reading. So I click skip all that. And now we're on the New York Times website. It also works for the app. But if you're just in the library on the library Wi-Fi, you don't have to do any of these steps. You can actually just log in, which is super cool for them. So
Well, and Shelley's question is, do you just get the current issue, or can you search for is there like an archive available?
yeah, so you should have access to everything as far as my understanding. So yeah, if there's an article you're looking for, is it you just go to the search and you just try do, you know, so it's like Olympic. So interesting. I spelled that wrong, but you can search for issues back to 2000, you know, 1967. Somebody else spelled it wrong, which is cool. So even to the New York Times. But yeah, you should have access to everything.
Okay, great.
And yeah, that's kind of the New York Times instructions. And let's see what else we can do real quick. So we're going to go back to our main page. we have this cool Douglas County history link right here. And I like clicking on this just to see what the featured item of the day is. And usually it's a cool photograph or something about Douglas County. And so you click on it, you get to see the description of all the information that some archivist has put together on something. And then you go see the images of a postcard or something. So it's a real fun, like just piece of history to do like once a day. So I check
Yeah.
this out all the time.
There's a
And
fun exhibit on there of Lawrence postcards that the Postuma family let us scan in. So there's a lot of fun Lawrence history on there.
yeah, totally cool to just go check out this, like that. I don't think it necessarily updates every day, but there's some things that update periodically, and it's pretty cool to go and check out. Then we're gonna go, this one is not much to say on it, but I think is like one of the coolest resources we have is Flipster. It's an app. You'd log into the library, and I'm gonna sign in with my library account. Why is that not working? Well, maybe because I'm not online. Like it worked a second ago.
Yeah.
But it's basically unlimited magazines. It's like the coolest thing. So I'm going to share my phone real quick with it. So stop sharing and then go to share. So this is my phone. I click on the Flipster app and you just have every magazine. And it's so cool. Like there's so much, like I don't like reading books necessarily on my Kindle or iPad or anything, but I do like magazines, like I don't have a problem with that. And so it's just a very nice, you can go ahead, download the Atlantic and read everything. It's everything. It's perfectly scanned. So you see it all. And it's a really cool resource we have.
Yeah,
but while that's downloaded, I'm going to stop sharing so we don't waste time on that.
It's pretty intuitive just by
Yeah,
clicking on the app and you just mess around on it.
Exactly. Another cool little thing we have is the Kaw Valley Jukebox. And I think this is something that our library helped strongly to put together. And it's just local musicians. Just if you want to know some local musicians around here and just listen to their albums, you just click on it and you click play and you get to listen to their music. It's so easy to do. And it's a really cool, like local thing to support our artists and learn more about them.
But it also makes you very hip. So all these people,
yeah,
you can wow your kids and grandkids with your knowledge of Lawrence local music.
Totally. And then also there's a submit option, so you can go through and submit stuff to this website if you want to put your own music on here, because we have a sound and recording studio in the library. And the last thing we won't really have much time to talk about is the Kansas State Library. And this thing could be a course on its own because it is a little complex in my opinion of like what it is. The things that like it tells you like, oh, we look at all these resources. We have digital e-lending. We have all these apps that we use. We have audiobooks that you can use. Then we have databases you can use. And so it's like, there's so much there, but it's like kind of hard to find the thing you're looking for specifically. And so I haven't figured out a good way to teach this yet, but there's a lot here, and they do have a lot of sections like frequently asked questions and how to do it, because obviously they know their website is confusing, and so they have lots of guides on their website. But it's a really cool resource that you have to. Well, actually, you don't. Some of the things if you are logging in with a computer within Kansas, you have access to it. And if you are outside of Kansas, you have to log in with your library, the state library card, and then you should have access to all of it. And so
you can get a state library card through Lawrence Public Library.
Yep, especially if you already have the public library card, you walk in, they'll give it to you within 30 seconds, pretty much. It's already, all the information's there.
And I will say, because I was using this just last week, and they do have a good like help desk sort of chat type of thing where you can send them your questions and they're super responsive. So
yep, totally. They have like ask librarians like that pop up in the corner. It's a confusing website, but it also has a lot that helps you. It's just you have to do a bunch of reading probably is the biggest part of it.
Just kind of buckle up and dive in and see what you can find. Maggie and Dave have a question. Can you download an audiobook to a memory stick, like a flash drive?
Not with like the Libby app. I mean, yeah, it's going to be within the app itself, which is usually going to be on your computer or on the phone or tablet or whatever you're using. And so you could, if it was like one that you had, like if you had some audio files, you could transfer them from your computer or not. But if you're doing it through our collection stuff, you cannot do that. Or you could, but you just wouldn't have access to it, I guess, because you could copy the information, but you'd have to have like an encryption reader to know, like to play it, to know that it's got from the proper license and everything.
Yeah, it's better just to download it on the app.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. It is 5 o'clock, but is any other last minute questions, or is everybody? That was so much information, Andrew. Thank you so much. Good
Oh,
Lord.
happy to do it.
Excellent.
I love this library, and I think they have so much cool stuff here, and I'm grateful to show you any of it. If you just want to stop by down to the info desk, we're happy to do it with you.
Yeah, actually, I just got a rave review from Andrew and his one-on-one tech appointment from one of our fellow retirement boot camps just last night. So he is awesome, and in every stretch of that word. So thank you so much for doing this for us.
Happy to do it. It's nice to meet all of you. If I have, I've seen some of you around, I guess, but.
All right. Well, thank you all. And we will see you at the next event. Go to the library website. And if you scroll to the bottom, you can see all the retirement boot camp events that are coming up. So thanks for joining us. And again, the recording will be online tomorrow morning.
See ya.